Today I'm with Tim Fletcher. We're talking what adds value in a property that's being sold. Surprise, surprise, he's brought us to one of his properties. Tell us, Tim, why have you brought us here?
Well, because this one, Des, ticks all the boxes in terms of its position. Fantastic location in Kew, close to literally everything. It looks terrific outside.
Yep, very nice. Tuscan feel.
That's right, yes indeed. It's low maintenance. It's got well-proportioned rooms, got plenty of natural light, a courtyard at the back. It's just...
Veranda out the front and an old rocking chair.
Yes, if you want. It's got everything you basically want. And in terms of investment value and lifestyle, it doesn't get much better than this. That's why I wanted you to have a look at this. Come and have a look.
Now, Tim, just start us off. What are the key things you think add value to a home?
Well, for example, when you look at the inside of a property, and this is a very good example of one that ticks all the boxes in terms of its flow. Now, you've got the formal area at the front, which is very livable, pretty low maintenance too, flowing through to this area here with this kitchen and again, you know, good quality appliances and good finishes.
Everyone wants to see a stone bench top nowadays.
They seem to, don't they?
Yeah.
And they are very popular. And when you look at the flow through to the back of the house, and that happens to be north at the back, so that's a big plus in Melbourne. As we know, it gets cold for a lot of the time. We want a lot of help from Mother Nature. That's where we get it from. It's got to have a wow factor. Mm-hmm. This, to my mind, has a great wow factor. And when you get outside there, it's got a small courtyard, not a big one, but it's got its own area. But if you look through to the back, you'll see a double garage. Whether it's a double or a triple doesn't matter a lot. But the important thing particularly when you're in the suburbs of a major capital city, as we are in Kew in Melbourne, parking is very important. Now, I'd say if that didn't have that big double garage out the back, which is accessed by a right of carriageway, it'd be 100-odd grand less.
Do people know these things, or is it just something about the place when they walk in? Because it's natural, they flow through here, it feels good, and so they don't even realise why they like it.
I guess when people look at a property, you'll get that warm and fuzzy feeling, and if you don't, you tend to go downhill as you're inspecting it and you're thinking, this is not for me. So if you look at the very external of it, it's got to appeal to you in that first instance. So it's got to, you've got to want to come inside, but when you actually enter the front door, and this occasion here, you can see as you look back, the inside and the outside relate to one another. So you're getting plenty of natural light. This little courtyard area here, which is probably not used in a practical sense, but it looks good.
It does the job.
And it allows plenty of natural light in. That's the other important thing.
I notice they've got speakers in the ceiling, surround sound. Are they things they added value for people, or is it just certain people? Not really?
Not really. I mean, when you get in here, I think you'd appreciate it if you'd bought it, but you're not going to not buy because this is the surround sound or something like that, no. Right. But, you know, things like light fittings and the fact that it's got air conditioning plays a big part. It's air conditioned right through this place, and you'd expect it in this type of property.
Now, talking outside, I guess the drivers that make people want to live in an area, well, I presume, obviously, shopping, schools, things like that?
Well, this is a very, very good example of blue chip property in that it's in Kew, which is a popular Melbourne suburb. It's close to some of the best private schools in Melbourne, walking distance, in fact. That's a big plus. The street is very appealing. There's some good quality homes in the street as well. That's critical. And then when you look at the property itself, externally, it's got to have, again, a bit of a wow factor, some appeal. So that's why when you're buying a property, it's important to have something that looks good from the facade, because quite often you'll get a property that is pretty plain on the outside, very good inside, but when you come to sell it, a lot of people won't look at it because they just don't want to go past that front door. Yep. So that's why it's important to have, again, some wow factor about the external, and this has certainly got that.
All right, Tim, we've had a look upstairs, 3 fabulous bedrooms. Now, how important is it to get that combination right, en-suites, bathrooms, that sort of thing?
Well, look, it's very easy to overcapitalise and undercapitalise. And by that I mean, for example, in this particular property, if you had 5 bedrooms, when you look at the living space downstairs, It would be inappropriate. So, in fact, you're overcapitalising. You've got too much money in bedrooms that you don't need.
And 2 bedrooms wouldn't be enough.
That would be undercapitalising it, and it would appeal to a limited market. It needs, as it's got here, 3 bedrooms, and it's very important in a property of this calibre that there are 2 bathrooms, one en suite, which you don't always get in the inner suburbs of any capital city, and another bathroom for the other bedroom.
What about things like walk-in robes? Do they add value?
The interesting thing about walk-in robes is that we tend, all of us as human beings, to gather stuff. We clutter. And whilst they appeal to some people, I think so long as there's adequate space to hang your clothes, if there's too much, I think people later regret it because they tend to think, I've got all this space, let's fill it up.
Better buy more clothes.
That's right. And I know some people are very happy about that, but it can cause some grief.
Well, thank you, Tim. Very nice to have a look around and find out what are all the boxes that have got to be ticked when you're buying or selling a home.
That's a pleasure, Des, and I sincerely hope that you've been able to get a good idea as to what appeals to people when you're either buying or selling real estate.
Thanks very much, Tim. If you'd like to know more, go to our website, mptv.com.au, and follow the links.